Okay, hello, welcome. It's good morning here in Los Angeles. It's good evening in Germany, Guten Tag. And wherever you are, I hope you're having a pleasant day. And if you're watching by recording after this is done, I hope you find what we have here useful. My name is Roger Nolan, and I know that in the text in the chats, it lists me as Elisha Goldstein. That's because Elisha owns the channel, basically, and he's the only one that gets to have his name there. The second one, the Center for Mindful Living chat, is because we are connected to the Center for Mindful Living Facebook page doing this meditation. So I know it can get confusing, but just play along. Okay, good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Colette. Hello, Kelly. Good to have you. And Christina from Germany, welcome. Good to have you here too. People from all over the world come to this. And we've been doing this for about 6 years. We've been doing it. I don't take any fee for this. None of the teachers do that I'm aware of. However, the Center for Mindful Living has decided it might be a nice thing for scholarship funds and things like that. If anyone wants to give an offering, a gift of some kind, here is where you can do that. I'm putting that in the chat window right now. We have a PayPal button, and we also have a Venmo account. So if you wish, perfectly normal, fine if you don't, completely voluntary. So today, I'd like to talk a little bit about returning to normal. For well over a year now, we have been living in abnormal conditions. And what happens to people when they live in abnormal conditions is that your brain, or that part of the brain that senses threat, which is usually the limbic system, is always on alert. So if you remember at the beginning of the pandemic, when places were closed, streets were empty, libraries, nobody was going into or out of a library. I remember that struck me as being very abnormal, but it was normal. So the normal was abnormal. And then what was normal was now abnormal. What used to be normal was abnormal. In other words, being able to eat in a restaurant or to hug or whatever else it might be. And then the wearing of the masks, and remember getting used to that. Well, our brains do acclimate to these things. This is why we can drive on freeways or fly in planes, because that limbic system pretty much knows everything's going to be okay. However, even then, it's still on a little bit of an alert setting. So for well over a year, we've been simmering in a kind of fight or flight reaction. And the fight or flight reaction is a direct result of the limbic system assessing for threat. It is saying there's something here that needs to be paid attention to. And then that sends a signal to the hypothalamus, which sends a signal to the pituitary gland, which shoots a signal down to the adrenal glands. And all this happens in about a tenth of a second. And if you've been living in a chronic fight or flight experience for well over a year, this is long-term trauma. So we've all been under some amount of trauma. Some of us have had genuine loss during this year. And this is traumatic. And even if you haven't had that kind of loss, the loss of a loved one, whatever else it might be, there is this constant sense of threat. I'm reminded of men who came back from World War II, my father included, who came back to a world that was abnormal to them. They were hoping to come back to the normal. I can't wait to get home. Well, when they got home, maybe it was just a few months or maybe many years later, maybe they were prisoners of war or they saw horrible things. When they came back to the normal, it was abnormal. And this trauma took a long time to filter through. And for many individuals, it never does. So if you are having some anxiety about going back into the world, if you have a job that you have to go back to, for example, or school, whatever else it might be, or maybe your children being back in the world, take it at your own pace. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to be doing something. Choose wisely, and you will live well during this time of coming back into the world. And a little bit of anxiety, or maybe even a lot, may be normal because that's the setting that we have been on. So take it at your own speed. Don't let anybody push you or tell you that it's abnormal for you to not want to go back into the world quite yet. And soon you will. Now, my other suggestion is this: when you do enter back into the world, whether it's back into your workforce or school or with friends, ritualize it just a bit. Have it be special. That first yoga class in person, that first hug, the first handshake. Notice it, be present with it. This is what mindfulness is all about. And perhaps a little gratitude toward that experience. Now, I want to say that the other day, maybe 2 weeks ago, I was waiting in a line to get some muffins at my favorite bakery here in South Pasadena, Heirloom Bakery, and I saw two gentlemen shake hands, and I almost, what, shake, what? And it's the first time I've seen that in a long time. I have not shaken a stranger's hand or anybody's hand since, yeah, like March last year. So expect these things to be a little bit jarring, and they will be, but you will live through it. Take it at your own pace, ritualize it a bit, make it special, and have some gratitude that we are able to move back into the world as we do. So, why don't we begin our practice? I want you to make sure you're comfortable. You don't have to adopt any particular postures. You can be sitting in a chair like me. You could be sitting on a sofa, lying down on a bed. Maybe you're involved in some task or activity right now. Maybe you're making breakfast, whatever it might be. And you just want to have this on in the background just to evoke a little bit of mindful awareness with what you're doing. And just be aware of what you're doing mindfully. And eyes can be closed or open, and they can be closed or open at any time. Okay, so take good care of yourselves. Here we go. And as the sound of the bell recedes into silence, let's settle in just a little bit to the body. Perhaps taking a little bit deeper inhale and with a kind of sighing exhale, letting go. And maybe two or three of those. Letting the belly expand gently with the inhale, letting it release gently with the exhale, softening and letting go. And if you're coming to this practice with a mind on alert, thank it. Thank you, limbic system. Thank you, HPAA axis, for keeping me safe, for letting me know that there's something here that needs to be taken care of. And then come back to, if you can, this feeling of the body breathing in and breathing out, letting the belly be soft so that there's a little expansion of the abdomen as you breathe in and a little releasing of the abdomen as you breathe out. And this will counteract any fight or flight reactions that you might be having now or at any time. The central nervous system is hardwired to the diaphragm through the vagus nerve. And when the diaphragm moves a little bit, it sends a little signal up through the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve goes through the central nervous system at the base of the neck, and then it goes into the limbic system and says, everything's okay. She's fine. And of course, the sensations of breathing are merely one of countless connecting points to the present moment. You could also feel the sensations of whatever your hands might be touching, the temperature of it, the texture, the shape of it. This will connect you to the present moment if feeling the body breathing is difficult for you. Or you could even expand your awareness to include sounds as a connecting point. Sounds are happening in the present moment, and you can notice the qualities of the sound, the pitch, the volume, the duration, the distance, the direction. And so settling into our connecting point, whatever it might be, and exploring this anchoring point, this object of attention. And remembering that the point of these practices is not to devote your attention to one object. The object of attention lets us know when we are present. If I'm feeling my body breathing, I am present. And the object of attention is a place to return to when we notice that the attention has wandered, and it will wander. And you may get lost in thought many times. This does not mean you're a bad meditator or that it's a bad practice. It actually means that you have a lot of opportunities to learn how to become mindful. Eventually, you will wake up and notice that the attention has wandered. In that moment, you've become mindful again, and then you can invite that mindful attention back to your connecting point. It could be the breath, the hands, or the sounds around you. And so we'll continue in this way through a few minutes of silence. And as we continue, the wandering mind, the thinking mind during meditation also gives us an opportunity to notice how our minds work. Do I go into the future a lot? Do I anticipate a disaster in that future? Do I dwell in the past? Am I judging? Do I have a preference about wanting something to be different than the way it is? And however the mind is, it's okay. You really don't have much control over this, if any. The mind is going to think those thoughts. Eventually, awareness takes over, and we realize we've been lost in thought, almost like we've been wandering down a wooded path, and we find ourselves just not really knowing where we are. And then suddenly, we're back home. That path circled around, but we didn't know it. Same thing here. The mind will wander on that path, and eventually it will bring us home again. We will become aware that we've been wandering, and in that moment we are home. We are mindful again. And then we can turn that mindful attention toward our object of attention, the breath, the hands, the sounds, whatever it may be in your world or what your needs are. And so we'll continue again through an extended period of silence, fully expecting the mind to drift away, to get lost, and remembering that this is not a problem. This is actually an opportunity to learn that at any time we wish, we can become mindful. So enjoy. And as we continue, perhaps checking in with the body from time to time, noticing if any tightness or tension has snuck back in, letting it soften as much as possible, encouraging perhaps that abdominal style of breathing that engages the relaxation response in the central nervous system. And as we continue, if you can, notice what happens to the thoughts that you got lost in when you become aware of them. Notice what happens when you become aware of what you're thinking or that you are thinking. Notice what happens to those thoughts. They may just sort of stop. Now you're in a different mindset of awareness rather than on an automatic pilot setting in the brain. And with that awareness, you know that you're present. The thoughts lose all of their power. And then you can direct that mindful awareness anywhere you wish. And in this practice, perhaps it might be best to direct it to the sensations of breathing, the sensations in your hands, or the sounds around you. And this can be done in daily life as well. When you notice you're having an unhelpful thought, call it out. Ooh, unhelpful thought. Notice what happens. And so we'll continue again in silence until the conclusion of our practice. And of course, taking as much time as you need to transition from the practice in any way that you need to. I'll have a little sip of water. Thank you. I want to shout out to my cousin Ruth in Minnesota. Hey, Ruthie, how are you doing? Write me here at this email address, okay? Let's make contact. I owe you a lot. I owe you a great deal in my life. Thank you. I wouldn't be the person I am if it weren't for you. So we'll get into a little bit of inquiry in just a moment, but I just wanted to remind everyone that while these practices are offered freely, warm hand or warm screen to warm screen, um, we do have sometimes a need to help individuals at Center for Mindful Living to attend classes and so forth. So if you want to give a gift in any amount, you can do it here at this PayPal or Venmo account. And for those of you who are new to me, I also host a weekday meditation at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 8 to 8:30, basically the same format as this. And then we have a period of inquiry. On Friday, we have loving kindness practice. If you're interested in getting the link to that Zoom meeting, again, write me here at this email address. I'll send you that link. I don't want to post it here. I'm a little hesitant to post the Zoom link on social media. But we have a good crowd, upwards of 80 people every day, and a lot of people from around the world. Many of the folks who are here, Sandy and uh, Christina and Bobby and many people who are here. All right. So what did you notice about that practice? And thank you for calling me doctor. I appreciate it. I won't be a doctor for about another month or so, but I got to get used to it, right? All right, thank you. So what did you notice about that practice? Especially when you started to notice those thoughts of the future or the past or whatever it might be, because this is really germane to what I'm talking about regarding coming back to normal. So feel free to chat in a question. Oh, hi, Eileen. Nice to have you here. Oh, and thanks, Ruth, as well. She's saying, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, you're becoming famous if you're still here. Um, Oh, good. Thank you. Great. Um, do you know Ruth? Is like would that be crazy? That would be crazy if you did. Hey, Matcha. I know I haven't seen you for a while. I hope you can come back. Please do. Love to see you there. Any questions or confusion or anything you don't get about the practice or what you want to say? Hello, Bobby. I'm so happy that you're visiting your family down in Texas for the first time since we locked down. And thanks to the limbic system for telling me there's something I should take care of. Yeah, yeah. It is actually, I think, a really useful, I've been using it for a while, where it's like, okay, thank you. I got this, because the limbic system it just goes on these little alert things, and it happens all the time. It happens when you wake up in the morning. It happens when you are getting ready to go on to your first Zoom meeting. It happens when you're getting ready to go to the grocery store. Little bit of energy moves out in the form of what are called glucocorticoids, which are things like epinephrine or adrenaline, things like that, that get released so that you are ready for action. You are mobilized. And what happens though is we feel that in the body and the brain registers anxiety. We go, oh, I'm anxious about something. What? Oh, look at the time. And it sends another signal down to the adrenal glands and it releases more of those things. And that sends a signal back up and the brain goes, oh, wow, if I'm late, everybody will think I'm horrible. Another one goes down. And now we have this back and forth cycle of limbic system and body and brain and neocortex and all kinds of things getting involved. We can interrupt that, first of all, by knowing it's happening. Like, wow, I'm really feeling something here. That's awareness. What am I thinking? Oh, I'm thinking I'm going to be late. You've now interrupted that cycle right there. That feedback loop has been basically stopped. Now you can insert there, oh, okay, thank you. It's just getting ready to go to the store. I want to make sure I have my bags with me. Thank you, limbic system. And when you do that and be friendly with that system rather than antagonistic, it really calms you down. Now, you can still be anxious. I'm not saying it goes away completely. There may still be some on alert stuff, but you can move through it a lot more gracefully. And Colette's saying hello to MLC Book Club. I didn't know there was a book club. I'm not too, yeah. Okay. Yeah, come back this summer, Mach. Can't wait to see you. And I remember in the early days of the pandemic, Matcha was making me masks. Early days, remember the? Wow, I remember the early days of the pandemic. Got in touch with my pain, says Michelle, and grief for my daughter's suffering. Oh yes, you know, if you can touch it, great. If you can't, back away. Acknowledge it's there. Bow to its power. This is difficult stuff. Move in slowly, move in slowly. You don't have to jump into the deep end. Just start with your toe. Not a problem. Um, hold on. Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Jot down what I say and then tell me what I said. Hi, Ruth. Yeah, you're here. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Love you too, Ruth. And oh, it's been way too long since we've communicated. You know, I ran across some beautiful photographs of you a couple of years ago, and I should send those to you. Hi, Rachel. Good to see you too. Get in touch with resistance and judgment that's built up over the past few days. Yeah, you know, all we do is become aware of these things. It's probably there keeping you safe in some way. Auf Wiedersehen, or choose, I should say, choose, Christina. I don't know if you say choose in the part of Germany you're in, but Dankeschön. Um, okay, anything else? Very important to interrupt. Yes, that vicious circle. At any time, you can throw that monkey wrench in there and stop that machinery. You can interrupt that cycle of stress and reactivity. So we have the feelings in the body, the reaction to the feelings in the body, continued signals down, sends out more stuff in the body, continued reactions, and you can stop that by going, wow, I'm really stuck in the cycle. Just that actually interrupts the cycle. Now you have a little space in which you can put something like, oh, I guess I'm just having to be on alert for something. All right, thank you. I wish somebody told me that when I was 4 years old. That's what I wish. Uh, oh, choose. Is that how you spell that? My goodness. Look at that. That's interesting. I've never seen that script before. Okay, thank you. Ah, Lupe. Oh, how are you? Good to see you too. Oh, been wondering how you've been. Catch me up. Send me a little email or something, okay? So good to see you. Thank you. All right, everyone. Well, I'm going to go now. So thank you for being here this morning or by the recording. And these are recorded and posted on the Center for Mindful Living Facebook page. Thank you to Elisha and Stephanie and Valerie and everybody at the Mindful Living Collective. And I will be back on the third Sunday of June. And maybe I'll be a doctor by then. We'll see. Okay. Depends on when I get my dissertation defense. All right, everyone, I'm going to go now. So thank you very much. Oh, Heather, hello. Excellent. And I miss you too from yoga. I saw Mark the other day and he said that he had just seen you the same day. So that's great. All right. Much appreciated, everyone. I really, really appreciate you being here. Bye for now.